Why the smartest people always slip up on the smallest details. My wife thought I was just a regular blue-collar guy, the kind who never looks past his garage door. She built herself a perfect little world, and in it, I was just a convenient, clueless husband. She said she was flying with her friend to clear her head at the Great Lakes, but she ended up in another country, in the arms of her wealthy boss. She thought she'd planned everything to the tiniest detail, but one tiny mistake gave her away. A simple receipt, left inside a gift box. And that receipt was just the beginning. The affair? That was nothing compared to what I uncovered next. 6 a.m. at Chicago O'Hare Airport. That's its own little universe. The smell of coffee, the shuffle of luggage, that faint hum of hope floating in the air. Everyone here is chasing something. A warm beach, a business deal, a reunion. My wife, Melissa, was chasing something too, and you could almost see it glowing around her. Don't be sad, babe. I'll be back in 3 days, she chirped, fixing my collar. You know how much Sarah needs me right now. The divorce hit her hard. We're just going to stroll down the boardwalk, breathe some lake air, talk things through. I nodded, putting on my best sad husband act, playing the steady man letting his loving wife go do a good deed. But like a mechanic who hears an engine knock before anyone else does, I notice the details. Detail number 1, the suitcase. Small, designer, featherlight, and ridiculously expensive. That's not the kind of luggage you pack for comforting a crying friend. That's the kind you roll out of an Uber in front of a 5-star hotel. Detail number 2, her look. She was glowing. Perfect blowout. Flawless makeup. Nails freshly done in a champagne shimmer. That's not girlfriend support makeup. That's date night in Milan makeup. Detail number 3, the scent. New perfume. Sweet, rich, seductive. One I'd never smelled on her before. A scent for candlelight, not cold waves. You're the best, she whispered, hugging me tightly. For a second, I almost believed it. I'll miss you. Promise me you'll eat something other than pizza, she said. I left soup and chicken cutlets in the fridge. I promise, I muttered, holding her close. Her body was tense, not from sadness, but from excitement. She couldn't wait to get on that plane. Her flight was called. Melissa gave me a quick kiss, long enough for show. A couple nearby sighed in envy. Now that's love, they probably thought. Gotta run. I'll text you when I land. Love you, she tossed over her shoulder and disappeared into crowd. She didn't even look back. I stood there for another 5 minutes, watching the departure board. Chicago, Toronto. Everything lined up, too perfectly. The drive home felt endless. The silence of my old but reliable truck was deafening after her morning chatter. I turned on the radio. Every song annoyed me. The show was over. The actress had flown off to her next act. The apartment greeted me with hollow quiet and the same sweet smell of her new perfume. I opened the fridge. The soup and cutlet were there, exactly as promised. A gesture of love or a prop in a cover story. I sat down in my warm recliner, glass of water in hand. Something buzzed in my head, the same faint vibration I hear before an engine fails. And this time, it wasn't a motor. Everything about her story, the girl's trip, the divorce support, the 3 days away, felt wrong. Melissa didn't look like a savior. She looked like someone cashing in a jackpot. She'd always call me her big, gentle bear. To her friends, it sounded cute. To me, it sounded like harmless. She thought I didn't notice her little games. The way she'd twist things, how easily she got what she wanted. I noticed. I just didn't care. Until now. Now it all felt fake. A sticky, oily kind of fake, like something you can't wash off. This wasn't a weekend getaway. It was a performance, and I was the only audience member. As I stared out the window at the waking city, I realized the next 3 days would be the longest of my life. She'd flown away, but the unease stayed right here with me. And hour by hour, it grew louder. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out what. A photo of a lonely seagull over the gray Atlantic waves. Then another one, smoked eel on a plate, local specialty. So, good. How are you surviving without me? And a picture of wine and seafood. I replied the same way I had the past 2 days. All good, working, eat for both of us. Or just tapped a heart on her message. I didn't ask questions. Didn't mention Sarah's divorce or how she was holding up. I just kept playing my role, the quiet, trusting husband. But inside, the role no longer made me angry. It was almost fascinating, like watching a lab experiment, waiting to see what happens next. That evening, the third day, I came home early, cleaned the apartment, wiped down every surface, even vacuumed, bought her favorite strawberry yogurt and a fresh loaf of bread, made a simple dinner, salad and baked chicken breast. I was building a perfect picture, the cozy homecoming scene. The wife returns tired but happy. The husband welcomes her with warmth and dinner. At LAX, her flight from Toronto landed exactly on time. A few minutes later, there she was, tanned, glowing, radiant. She looked like someone back from a resort photo shoot, not a woman who'd spent 3 days consoling a heartbroken friend. "Ethan," she squealed, throwing her arms around my neck. That same sweet perfume hit me again, rich and expensive. "I missed you so much." "Me too," I said quietly, wrapping my arms around her, feeling that same cold calm inside. "How was the flight?" "Oh, perfect." And Sarah's brother picked her up right away. "They went to see her parents," she answered smoothly, taking her shiny little suitcase from my hand. "Let's go home. I'm so tired of planes." She talked the entire ride, about the beach, the pine trees, how gorgeous the boardwalk was, how she and Sarah talked for hours. I listened, nodded, threw in an occasional yeah or wow, my mind scanning every word, every tone, every gesture. She was too cheerful, too carefree, no trace of empathy or exhaustion, just euphoria. At home, she gasped at the spotless kitchen and the dinner waiting on the table. "You're the best." "Seriously, gold medal husband," she laughed, changing into her cozy clothes. "Oh, and I brought you something." She pulled out a fancy gift box. Inside, a bottle of single malt whiskey. "Sarah and I picked it out for you. The guy at the store said it's the best choice for a real man." I turned the bottle in my hands. "Thanks, Mel. You didn't have to." "Oh, but I did," she said sweetly. We had dinner. She kept talking about sea, air, and sunsets. I kept playing along, the grateful listener. After dinner, she went to shower, then straight to bed. 10 minutes later, her breathing was steady and peaceful. She slept like a baby, like someone with a spotless conscience. I stayed in the kitchen, washing dishes, clearing the table. Then my eyes landed on the gift box, sitting near the coffee maker. I picked it up to throw it out. It was light, but something inside rustled. A small folded slip of paper slid out and landed on the floor. A receipt. I bent down, picked it up without thinking, just an automatic move. Unfolded it. And in that moment, the world froze. It wasn't an explosion. It was quieter than that, like an ice needle sliding straight into my chest. The words weren't English. Weird letters, strange accents. And then I realized it was French. At the top, National Duty Free, Montreal. Montreal? Why Montreal? I scanned the list of items. First line, the whiskey she'd given me. Second line, Cuban cigars. Neither of us smoked, but her boss, the owner of her luxury fitness studio, did. A man in his 50s, married, 2 grown kids. He bragged about them every time he stopped by my shop in his brand new Mercedes. I sat down slowly. My breath caught. The shock faded, replaced by a cold, crystal clarity. I grabbed my laptop. First, flight check. Los Angeles to Toronto, direct, no stopovers. No mention of Montreal anywhere. That detour made no sense, unless Montreal was a real destination. Next, I opened Instagram. Found Sarah's page. Her latest post? A cozy cafe selfie tag, downtown Santa Monica hot beverage, uploaded yesterday afternoon. The caption, Saturday chill. She was smiling, alone, not exactly the look of a woman recovering from heartbreak. The puzzle clicked. Every piece slid perfectly into place, revealing a picture that was ugly, but painfully clear. The trip, the friend, the story, all lies. She hadn't been in Toronto. She'd flown to Montreal, and she hadn't gone alone. That little white receipt, the one she forgot to throw away, had just blown her whole script apart. She was so sure of my simplicity, so confident I'd never notice. She thought I was a fool who'd eat her leftovers and believe stories about seagulls over the Baltic Sea. But in my chest, there was no pain. Pain is for those who get blindsided. I'd seen it coming. Deep down, what I felt now wasn't heartbreak. It was precision. Cold, sharp, surgical clarity. She'd set the new rules. Or maybe just showed me that rules didn't exist for her at all. Fine. Then there'll be no rules for me either. The next morning, sunlight cut through the curtains and hit me in the eyes. Melissa lay beside me, hair spread across the pillow, one hand on my chest. 3 days ago, that touch would have felt like home. Now it felt heavy, foreign. Her steady breathing didn't soothe me. It irritated me. The smell of her perfume, once intoxicating, now made me sick. I gently moved her hand away and got up. While I brewed coffee, her sleepy voice floated from the bedroom. "Ethan, you're up already? Make me a cup too?" "Already on it," I said evenly. She smiled when I brought it to her. "Thanks, honey." God, I slept like a rock. Nothing beats your own bed. "So what's new here?" "Oh, I said, keeping my tone steady. Same old. The shop's fine." One customer tried to lowball me again. I watched her over the mug, and for the first time, I realized I was looking at a stranger, and memories started flooding back, fast and merciless. We'd met 6 years ago, back when my auto repair shop was just a small rented garage on the edge of town. I worked 16-hour days, slept 4 hours a night, smelled like motor oil, and felt alive. She'd come in with her old Mazda. Something minor was broken. She looked like she belonged to another world. Confident, bright, smelling like flowers instead of grease. She watched me work, curious, a bit amused. And when I fixed her car in 30 minutes, something the dealership quoted 444, her look changed. Respect or calculation. We fell fast. She said she loved how real I was, that I could fix anything with my hands, that I didn't talk much. I just did. I loved her energy, her laughter, the way she could make life feel light. We got married a year later, and that's when things started changing. My garage became that little workshop. My work, not exactly glamorous. "Ethan's into cars," she'd tell her friend vaguely, as if ashamed to say out loud. She wanted me to grow, but what she meant was change. Buy nicer clothes. Go to a barber. Trade my old reliable truck for something flashier. I gave in. I wanted to make her happy. I thought that was love. Sacrificing parts of yourself for someone else's version of happiness. I passed on buying a new diagnostic scanner because Melissa wanted a trip to Maui. "Ethan, we're young. Live now. Your scanner isn't going anywhere," she said. I poured the money I'd saved to fix the shop's roof into the down payment for her new crossover, because showing up to her elite fitness studio in the old Mazda felt embarrassing. The peak of it all was our move to the place we live now. My grandma, the person I loved most, left me her old pre-war 2-bedroom in a 1940 Spanish-style building on the west side. It needed a full gut. I planned to do it slowly with my own hands. Melissa stage a meltdown. I'm not living in this shack. We need a normal place. Finished. Let's sell it and get a mortgage on a new build. For the first time, I stood firm. I said I'd never sell that apartment. It was family, but I agreed to renovate. It cost me all my savings in 6 months of my life. 12 hours at the shop, then across town till midnight laying tile and skimming walls. Melissa, meanwhile, picked pillow colors and posted our cozy nest transformation on social. When we finally moved in, she said something I now remember with an icy smile. Ethan, we sunk so much into this Reno. It's basically a new condo. It's ours now jointly. I could have told the truth. The place was mine before the wedding, and the renovation was paid with my premarital money. Instead, I looked into her hopeful eyes and lied. Of course it's ours. Think of it like our mortgage. We'll pay it down together. She lit up. That day, I started auto-transferring a big chunk from my main card into a separate account she didn't know about. For her, it was the mortgage. For me, it was an emergency cushion. I didn't even know why. Just instinct. The same instinct that never fails me with engines. Whisper was right. Now, sitting in the kitchen, staring at my lying wife, I thanked that instinct. The foundation of our marriage was built on lies. We both lied. She lied about fidelity. I lied about her stake in the apartment. That morning I didn't go to the shop. My first stop was a notary, then the county recorder. Calmly, methodically, I signed a quitclaim deed transferring title to my mom. A formality. In a week, we'd move it back into a family trust under me. If Melissa filed for divorce and tried to split assets, the record would show a fresh change of ownership, and there'd be nothing for her to carve up. The family lawyer I saw afterwards confirmed it was clean, premarital property. I had the right to manage it. He glanced at the Montreal duty-free receipt I brought, nodded. Evidence of infidelity. Won't win you much in property division here, but I get it. It's the principle. I nodded. It was exactly that. That evening, when I came home, Melissa was in great spirits. Look, I finally sorted the trip photos, she said, handing me her phone. I want to post a couple. On screen, pine trees and a gray ocean. Melissa smiling with a latte. Melissa posing on a wooden boardwalk. A perfect carousel for social. Caption drafted, 3 days of total reset on the Baltic with my best girl. Sometimes you have to exhale to inhale again. Hashtag boardwalk, hashtag girls weekend, hashtag reset. I stared at her glowing, lying face and felt nothing but disgust. She lived in a fantasy where she was a victim, forced to play therapist to a friend. I was already in another reality. Calmly, methodically preparing the ground, so her pretty little world would collapse like a house of cards. The storm was close. She kept posting sunlit memories. I remembered LAX arrivals, the déjà vu. 3 days earlier I'd played the grieving husband. Now I played the loving, excited spouse for finale. Only inside me there was no sadness and no joy. Just a sterile calmness surging before a necessary operation. Tools ready. Plan clear. Patient en route. Her flight from Toronto had been perfectly on time. Crowd surging toward the sliding glass doors. I stood back, arms folded, knowing I wouldn't miss her. And I didn't. Tanned, relaxed, radiant, glowing with a private happiness. Not the weak sun of a cold coastline. This was the poolside kind, the kind you get when you spend days stretched out with cocktails, not bundled in a windbreaker on a chilly shore. She rolled her glossy carry-on, talking on the phone. She spotted me, tucked the phone away, and opened her arms. Ethan. I stepped in and hugged her. She smelled like airplane and something expensive, the same sweet perfume, the scent of her other life. Welcome back, I said, kissing her cheek, keeping my voice warm. I missed you so much, she beamed, searching my eyes. Oh, I brought you a souvenir. She dug into her tote and pulled out a cheap acrylic fridge magnet. A crooked photo of a random boardwalk with cheesy greetings from Toronto. Peak cynicism. Blow hundreds, maybe thousands on herself and her boss. And bring home a dollar store trinket, probably bought at the airport gift shop. Thanks, Mel. Very thoughtful. I squeezed the plastic, feeling the sharp edges. I'll put it front and center, I said. Definitely, she chirped, proud of herself. Let's go home. I need a shower and real food. All the way back, she was a fountain of stories. The pines, the rented bikes along the shore, the funny old man selling smoked fish. She lied beautifully, effortlessly, with small, believable details. She wasn't even straining. She either believed herself or was 100% sure I believed her. How's Sarah? I asked as we turned onto our street. Much better, Melissa answered without a blink. You should have seen her. She bloomed these past few days. Change of scenery, heart to hearts, best medicine. She says hi, by the way. Says she's jealous I have such a thoughtful husband. Greetings from Sarah, who at that very moment was sipping coffee in downtown Santa Monica. Curtain. Everything at home looked exactly the way I'd staged it. Clean, orderly, fresh flowers in a vase on the table. Melissa sighed with satisfaction, kicking off her heels. God, it feels good to be home, she murmured, drifting into the living room. All for you, I smiled. While she showered, I pulled her favorite chilled white from the fridge and set out 2 nice glasses. When she came out, fresh, relaxed, silk robe, I was waiting in the kitchen. Hey, I said as casually as I could, how about a little welcome home dinner? I'll whip up shrimp pasta. We'll open the wine, make a night of it. Her eyes lit up. Return of the Queen. Loving husband. Candlelight. A perfect ending to her perfect little getaway. Ethan, that's a great idea, she purred, hugging me from behind. I'll help. Her help was slicing baguette pretty and arranging cheese. I handled the sauce and shrimp while she floated around the kitchen, humming, spinning more stories about a charming cafe on the coast. I watched her hands, her movements, and counted down in my head, 30 minutes to curtain. I cleaned the shrimp one by one, precise, efficient, just like peeling her story to the soft, ugly truth beneath. The Baltic boardwalk, a shell. Under it, the hotel. Her boss. 20 minutes. I plated the steaming pasta. Garlic, basil, white wine. The kitchen smelled like comfort. Melissa clapped. It looks amazing. You're magic. We sat. I poured the wine. The picture was perfect. Warm light, great food, 2 in love, people reunited after a brief separation. An image made for her socials. Only this time I was a photographer, and I wanted the shot burned into her memory forever. Let's toast, I said, raising my glass. Okay, to my coming home, she smiled, lifting hers. No, I said softly. To honesty. She froze for a heartbeat, then laughed. To honesty. Weird toast, but sure. Glasses clinked, and the crystal sounded like a bell at a funeral. She took a long sip, twirled pasta, sighed with pleasure. You outdid yourself. I watched her eat, savoring the food, the wine, the moment, so certain of her safety, my love, my stupidity. She finished her glass, not knowing it was her last peaceful dinner in this apartment. 1 minute. Showtime. Loosened by wine, she leaned into the fantasy she'd painted. You wouldn't believe the pines there, she bubbled. The air, my head was spinning. Sarah and I rented bikes, rode along the shore, then this little cafe in an old house. The sweetest old man in a striped shirt gave us smoked eel he caught this morning. I wish you were there. You would have loved it. She kept going, bright eyes, easy laughter, her hands drawing pictures in the air. A one-woman theater, not a false note in her voice. Then she set her glass down with a dreamy smile. It was magical, exactly what I needed to reset. I'm so glad I went. A perfect pause, only the soft hum of the fridge. My turn. Yeah, I said calm, even. Sounds magical. Just one tiny question, Mel. Do they have duty-free in Svetlogorsk? She blinked. The smile stalled, then began to slide off her face like cheap makeup in the rain. What? Duty-free? What are you talking about? She hadn't realized the ice beneath her had cracked. I didn't answer. I reached up to the shelf, took the gift box her whiskey came in, flipped it over, and let the small folded receipt fall beside her plate onto the white tablecloth. She stared at it like it was a snake. Confusion, recognition, and finally, badly hidden fear. W, what is that? She whispered, scooting back. Trash. Why are you going through trash now? Are you rummaging in my stuff? Classic counterattack. Blame to defend. Not this time. It's not trash, Melissa. It's a receipt. I picked it up with 2 fingers and unfolded it. See? National Duty Free, Montreal. And look, something fun along with our whiskey, Cuban cigars. 5. You know I don't smoke, but your boss does, the owner of your Lux studio. He was in Montreal with you. Am I wrong? Silence turned heavy. Her face went white. Eyes on me, then on the paper, fear sloshing back and forth. Denial had crashed. Cue anger. You're spying on me, she hissed, jumping up. You dug through my things. How dare you? You don't trust me. Trust is a two-way street, I said without raising my voice, lazily rolling the wine in my glass. You decided it's a one-way, slapped a do not enter sign on your lane, and drove head-on. I didn't rummage through anything. You left the evidence. You were so sure I'm simple that you didn't even check the box. You took me for an idiot for 6 years. It's not what you think, she pivoted. Next stage, tears and spin. Victor he needed a +1. It was work. And I didn't fly to the Baltic because Sarah canceled last minute. I was embarrassed to tell you I'd be alone. That's all. That's enough, I said, lifting a hand to cut the monologue. Great performance. The script? Trash. And the props failed. I stood, went to hall closet, pulled a document folder, brought it back, and set it in front of her. Let's talk about our future. Correction, your future. Because there is no our anymore. I opened the folder. Let's start with the cozy nest. I slid out the grant deed and laid it before her. Read the owner's name and check the recording date. Tears in her eyes, lips moving silently over my name. This apartment, Mel, came to me from my grandmother 2 years before we got married. It was never ours. It was mine. The 6-month renovation after 12-hour shifts at the shop, my premarital savings. So there's nothing to split. She looked up, horror and confusion mixing. It was landing. But the mortgage, she whispered, we paid every month. Ah, yes, the mortgage. I smiled thinly. My best investment in your peace of mind. I took out my phone, opened my banking app, and turned the screen to her. See the separate account? In my name. That's where our payments went. Every month. Tens of thousands saved. My cushion for the day the big gentle bear finally woke up. I set the phone down and met her eyes. And now I'm awake. She collapsed back into the chair like her legs had been cut out from under her. Color drained from her face. The pretty world she'd built for herself was falling apart, brick by brick. But I wasn't done. And one more thing, I said, voice flat and even like a verdict. You got a great job. Front desk lead at a luxury fitness club. You're proud of it. Your boss, Victor? He's a regular at my shop. We talk while I work on his car. I let that hang. Lately, he's been complaining that someone on staff is leaking the VIP client list to competitors and moving memberships off the books. He asked me to keep an eye out, and I did. Silence. I watched the horror settle in. So I'm sure Victor will be very interested to learn not only about your work meetings in Montreal, but also about how you've been skimming his business. I'm guessing his wife will find the story interesting too, especially the colorful details. That was the kill shot. She folded in on herself and let out a thin, broken sound. Not tears, more like an animal caught in a trap. The swagger was gone. In front of me sat a scared, shattered person who'd lost everything in a single night. I gave her a minute. Then I laid out the terms. Listen carefully. Melissa, you have 1 hour to pack your things. Personal only. Clothes, cosmetics, trinkets. Anything bought during the marriage that isn't a basic necessity stays. Put the car keys on the table. The car's titled to the company. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. we meet at my lawyer's. You sign a no-claim divorce settlement. If you try to make a scene, file claims, or so much as chirp about property, by lunch, the dash cam clip of you handing documents to Victor's competitor and the Montreal receipt go to his wife and to the DA's Economic Crimes Unit. Clear. She nodded without looking up. Good, I said, pushing back from the table. Your ride's in an hour. I called it to your number. I hope you got money for the next few weeks. Now pack. I left her in the kitchen, alone with the cooling dinner and the wreckage of her pretty lies. I sat in my recliner, turned on the TV, and just listened, drawers opening, zippers, the click of a suitcase. An hour later the door latch snapped. She was gone. Show over. Curtain. 6 months passed. Fall slid into a wet Los Angeles winter, then into a stubborn, bright spring. I sat on the porch of a small place up near Angeles National Forest, a house I'd started framing last fall, and drank my morning coffee. Sun on my face, damp earth and new leaves in the air. Somewhere in the trees, a fledgling was trying out a new song. Silence. The ringing kind I'd dreamed about for years. My life changed completely, not on the outside. I still spent all day at the auto shop. Still wore the same oil-stained coveralls. What changed was inside. The weight I'd carried for years slipped off. Like dropping a backpack I should have set down long ago. The apartment felt strange the first few days after she left. The quiet pressed in. Then it became neutral. Then comfortable. I realized how much noise I'd lived with. Not decibels, emotional noise. The constant nudges, hints, upgrades. The relentless effort to resize me to fit her standards. I'd lived looking over my shoulder, guessing her mood, smoothing the edges. Now it was gone. I could come home, toss my jacket on a chair, and no one lecture me about aesthetic energy. I could eat dumplings from the pot at the stove without a sermon on clean eating. I could leave at dawn on a Saturday to fish without submitting a week-ahead request form. The divorce went quiet and fast, just as planned. Melissa signed everything without a peep. I kept my word. I didn't torch her career. What happened after, I didn't ask. Friends of friends said she moved into a rental. That Victor, after an internal review, had her resign voluntarily. Whether he sailed into the sunset with her or found a new travel companion to Montreal, I didn't know. More importantly, I didn't care. That chapter was closed. The mortgage fund, I put it to work. I bought the next bay at the shop, hired 2 sharp techs, picked up the diagnostic gear I'd wanted for years. Business took off. For the first time in a long time, I worked for me, and it felt almost shockingly good. My favorite project was this house. Small, warm, big porch, wide windows facing the trees. I built on weekends, nail by nail, board by board, a quiet kind of meditation. Every fastener sunk flush. Every plank sanded smooth was a step toward a life that felt real. Now, sitting on this porch I'd finished days ago, I looked at my new reality. I remembered the dinner, the toast, the receipt. Back then, I thought my world was collapsing, but it wasn't. It was just shedding old plaster, the kind that flakes off when the foundation is rotten. Sometimes you have to tear it down to the studs to build something solid. My family turned out to be an image, a glossy feed hiding a hollow core. I'd fought to preserve that picture, paying with my time, my peace, myself. I thought that was love. It wasn't. It was betrayal of me by me. I finished my coffee and set the cup on the railing. The bird in the trees finally landed a tricky trill and went quiet. And in that quiet, for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. I felt free. Self-respect. The thing I took back that night turned out to be worth more than the prettiest illusion of a happy home. Ahead of me was a whole life, my life, and I was going to live it on my terms.